Well, hey y'all. Gonna talk today about a sort of a hero of mine and fellow pop smoker of ours, Bing Crosby. I really love Bing Crosby and his music and just everything about him. Um, so I'm actually smoking one of his pipes. This is the Savinelli Bing. It's a really pretty pipe. Got a little golf club and golf ball symbol there. I love the grain on it. It's really pretty grain. It smokes good. And this is modeled after the sort of pipes that he liked to smoke. So, as I got into pipe smoking, I sort of became succumbed to the pipe smoking culture. And that's something that can happen, and it happened to me. And I started sort of just ingesting anything I could that had to do with pipe smoking. And one thing that I thought about was, well, hey, who else likes to smoke a pipe? Who, in history smoked a pipe? What's a famous person? What famous people like to smoke pipes? And so you look that up on the internet, and Bing Crosby is one of the first people to come up. And so through that, I just got to sort of researching him as a person and sort of his career, and I just really like him and really identify with him. I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. While I do it, I'm actually smoking his tobacco. This is called This is supposed to be a copy of his private blend, shared with Cornell and Deal by one of his closest friends. It's called Crooner, and it's good. I like it. I smoke it not all the time, but I smoke a pretty good bit of it, and it's good. It's burley, and it's mostly just burley, but it's also got some deer tongue in it, which is sort of interesting. I had never had that before. Didn't have any experience with deer tongue, but apparently it gives it like a natural vanilla taste. And it's good. Kind of tastes like oatmeal. So, Harry Lillis Crosby Jr., mostly known as a singer and actor. He was born in Tacoma, Washington, May the 2nd, in 1901 or 04. There's sort of some speculation about what year he was born, and that's kind of a running joke in the Crosby family, I think. Nobody really knew how old his mother actually was. They moved to Spokane, Washington, when he was 5, and he would claim Spokane as his hometown. He was raised a Catholic, raised in a Catholic household. He kept that throughout his life. And yeah, I just got to researching him, and just just about any picture you see of him, he's smoking a pipe, and it's just a comfort to me to think about him. He just had this sort of easygoing way about him. I don't know if it was the pipe that made him sort of just seem so relaxed, kind of carefree, and he was sort of thought of that way in other countries. He was a world renowned, and people knew him the world over in every country just about. And he sort of represented a carefree character from a free land, from America. This tobacco is called Crooner, and that's what he was known as. He was known as the Crooner, or Groner. And he actually came up in a time when the microphone was just starting to sort of take hold and become widely used. And so because of that, he was able to take advantage of being able to sing intimately and not have to shout like some of these vaudeville singers. Yeah, I guess he left Washington, and he had a Model T Ford, and it died a few miles outside of LA in 1925. So he didn't even drive into Hollywood. He walked into Hollywood. A lot of the information I'm presenting is coming from this book. It's called Bing. This is a great book. A friend of mine gave it to me, and it is a good read. Let's see, it was actually published, it's an older book, 75. So it was published before he died, which is kind of cool. So a lot of the information, a lot of the stuff I learned about him came from this book. But yeah, his car broke down before he even got to LA, him and a friend of his, and so they had to walk into town. Now, he was broke, but he had a $1 million voice. And yeah, in the early days, he was a big band hellraiser. He used to crawl to mass on Sunday mornings. He liked to drink. He liked to party. His first band was called the Rhythm Boys. And he actually played drums pretty early on. Pretty cool. And he played with the Rhythm Boys for a while, and it got where they would give him solos, and he was doing really well on the solos, and people were getting where they wanted to hear him out front. He is the first multimedia star. Because he was into so much. He had music on the radio. He was an actor. He was in all kinds of ads, and he was a pipe smoker, and so he was in some pipe ads. His very first ad was actually his very first radio ad was for Cremo cigars. He did some cigarette ads, and then he switched over to pipe tobacco ads to make his mama happy, because pipe smoking, not inhaling it, is sort of known to be better for but you see really more cigar and cigarette ads with him than you do pipe ads. But he did do some, and there are a lot of pictures of him with pipes. About every picture you see of him, he's got a pipe. And a lot of the pipes you see look like this one. They were sort of, I think this is almost like an apple-shaped bowl, really long, skinny stem. And I like that in a pipe. I actually prefer that. That's one reason why I like this pipe. It gets it really far away from your face. And I like that. He loved to play golf. That's why there's the golfing emblem on here. And that's another reason why he liked these long pipes, apparently, is because of the pipe in his mouth. When he looked down at a putt or hit a golf ball, the pipe was out of the way out here, and he could see. So he was a family man. He actually married an actress named Dixie Lee, and they had 4 boys. And sadly, she died from ovarian cancer. He remarried Catherine Grant, and they had 3 kids, one of which was his only daughter. And one of those boys, of those 3 kids, was an actor too. And he is actually, if you like horror movies, he was the character Bill in Friday the 13th. Yeah, got stuck to the back of that door. And there wasn't a whole lot of advertisement about him being Bing Crosby's son when they made that film, because he wanted to try to sort of kickstart his career, I guess on his own, and not run under his father's flag, which he was billed as, a Crosby, but that was about it. In Europe and Germany, he was known as Der Bingo. Der Bingo. Everybody loved him. He had a house burned down in 1943. And he lost everything, including his massive personal record collection. Story goes, though, that amid the rubble, he found $2,000 in a burn-up shoe. So, why do they call him Bing? His name was Harry Lillis Crosby Jr. Where'd the Bing come from? Well, there was a Sunday comic strip in Spokane called the Bingsville Bugle. And then there was a character called Bingo that had big ears, just like Bing Crosby, who has really big ears. That's sort of one of his physical characteristics he's known for, is kind of those floppy ears. And this character had big ears like Bing. And he used to read that comic strip. And he had a neighbor that would call him Bingo, like the character in the comic strip, because of those big ears. and bingo became Bing, and the name stuck. Yep. He sort of revolutionized the recording industry. He had a lot of good ideas in that area. And he invested a lot of his own time and his own money into the recording process, which was sort of in its early stages then. And this is in the 1920s and the 1930s. He was one of the first people to pre-record a radio program. Instead of doing it live, he was sort of the opinion that, hey, let's go ahead and record it and be done with that part and just play it back later. And everybody was like, oh no, everybody will know. It'll be canned. It'll be a canned radio program, and they'll know. And they did it anyway, and it worked fine. And it's been done to this day. They record programs. They pre-record programs all the time. It's no big deal. But he was one of the first people to suggest that instead of just doing it live on air, and catching the magic live. He suggested just pre-recording it. Really, some people say just so he could have more time on the golf course. But it ended up being a cool move for the industry. Man, he's got a bunch of good music, some good hits, but one of the biggest songs he's known for, probably his biggest song, is White Christmas. Christmas song, which is a great one and a staple and just a part of every Christmas. He's got a lot of other great music though. Swinging on a Star. I actually got one of his records right here. This is an old Christmas record. It's got some great songs on it. Of course, it's got White Christmas, but it's also got Silent Night, I'll Be Home for Christmas, Jingle Bells, Santa Claus Come to Town. His version of Silver Bells is just beautiful. I love his Silver Bells. It's great. Mili Kaliki Maka, which is a classic. It's on here. That's one of his. It's really good. A lot of good Christmas music. And he's sort of known for that, for Christmas. I've got one of his films here. He was also a great actor. This is one of his great movies. It's called White Christmas. It's really good. And it features the song. It features him smoking his pipe in there. He's a terrific actor. He was a singer first, but he got into acting later on, and it was great. It worked out great. He's a great actor. I love him on screen. I really haven't even seen that many of his films. I've seen this one, and I've seen bits and pieces of a few others. He's got some great ones. White Christmas is great. He's got Holiday Inn, which is another Christmas movie. He's got all the Road to films, which is sort of a road trip movies where they do this. Him and this guy Bob Hope, another actor, they travel to these different places, and it's supposed to be comic genius. I've never seen any of them, but I bet they're good. The Road to series, there's several of those movies. He's got another film called Going My Way, which is really good. It has a sequel called Bells of St. Mary's, which he won an award for. Um, so he's got some great films as well as music. And he was in Hollywood in the early days, when they called it the Dream Factory. It's hard to find what kind of tobacco he smoked. I'm not sure if he actually smoked this or not. Supposedly he did, and from what research I can find, this was a real recipe given to this company by a close friend of his, and it's accurate. So maybe he did smoke this or something really, really similar to this. The only other thing I can find that he may have smoked that I can tell you by name is a blend I've never even seen in person. I don't know if they even make it anymore. It's called Haywood mixture. Apparently that was something he liked. Haywood mixture. If he did smoke this, this was fine. This is good. This is good stuff. You know, just a good old burley blend. Which is, guys like him, that's what they like. That's another thing I like about him, is he's from that golden age of pipe smoking, and it's just a comfort to think about him and his lifetime and his exploits and adventures. I love it. He's sold way over 400 million records, recorded over 1,600 songs. He's been in over 70 feature films. Five decades in show business. Yep. His music, his voice is so smooth and just satisfying and comforting. It's great. I love his music. He loved golf. He loved to hunt. He loved to fish. He loved horse racing. But he loved to golf. And in fact, he did make a hole-in-one on number 16 at Cypress Point. What an achievement. In fact, he died on a golf course. He lived to be 74 years old, and he died on October 14th, 1977. In Alcobendas, Spain. Flew out there to play some golf. On that day, played 18 holes. Him and his partner won the round. About 6:30, he said, "Great round of golf, fellas. Let's go get a Coca-Cola." About 20 yards from the clubhouse, he collapsed from a massive heart attack and died instantly, pretty much. They tried to revive him, but he died. A few days before that, his last American concert was at the Concord Pavilion in Concord, California. And actually, the power failed during that show, and he kept singing without amplification. His last TV appearance, of course, was a Christmas special. It was taped in London in September 1977, and it actually aired a few weeks after his death. And on that special, he sang The Little Drummer Boy with David Bowie, and it's become a Christmas classic, and that's one of the top 25 most memorable moments in music TV history. He was buried next to Dixie, his first wife, at Holy Cross Cemetery in Culver City, California. What a great guy, though. Very inspirational guy for me. If you aspire to be an actor or a musician or do anything creative, it's always just a wonderful joy to look at someone's story and see how they put a plan into action and became what they wanted to become and harnessed their talent. And I'm glad to still have his films and his music today. And I sure like smoking his pipe. Well, thank y'all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Go listen to some Bing Crosby. Check out his films. Check out his tobacco. Try one of his pipes.